If you've ever argued about taxes, inflation, or globalization, you're repeating a fight that started centuries ago. One idea can build a nation's wealth. Another can shake confidence in an empire. So today, we're counting down the 10 economists who rewired how the world works, and the one insight each of them gave the rest of us. Number 10 is Amartya Sen changed the meaning of development by asking a simple question. Development for whom? He argued that growth is not just about higher GDP or bigger factories. It is about real freedom, real choices, and the ability to live a life people value. That idea transformed welfare economics and development policy. His work also exposed hidden injustice, like the missing women problem, showing that inequality can cost millions of lives. Sen reminds us that economics is not only about output. It is about human capability. Number 9 is Milton Friedman, the economist who dragged money back to the center of macroeconomics. Friedman argued that inflation is not just a nuisance. It is a monetary problem, and governments cannot permanently trade higher inflation for lower unemployment. That warning reshaped policy in the late 20th century. His idea of a natural rate of unemployment changed how economists think about jobs, prices, and central banks. In one stroke, he challenged the belief that stimulus could solve everything. His legacy is blunt and lasting. If money is unstable, the whole economy feels it. Number 8 is Friedrich Hayek. Hayek's greatest insight was not about prices alone, but about knowledge. He argued that no planner, no matter how brilliant, can fully gather the millions of facts scattered across a society. That means markets are not just places where goods are traded. They are systems that coordinate dispersed information. Prices tell people what is scarce, what is valuable, and where effort should go. Hayek became the great critic of central planning, but his deeper contribution is easier to miss. He showed that order can emerge without a single mind controlling it. Number 7 is John Maynard Keynes, the economist who changed how the world responds to recessions. Before Keynes, many believed economies would naturally heal themselves. Keynes said that was too optimistic. When total spending falls, businesses cut output, workers lose jobs, and fear feeds on itself. His answer was powerful. Governments can step in when private demand collapses. That idea, laid out in the general theory, helped define modern counter-cyclical policy. During crises, Keynes gave governments a new role. Not to replace markets, but to rescue them when demand breaks down. Number 6 is Joseph Schumpeter, the poet of capitalism's chaos. He saw capitalism not as a quiet machine, but as a storm of innovation. Entrepreneurs create new products, new firms, and new industries. But every breakthrough also destroys something older. Schumpeter called that process creative destruction. It captures why capitalism feels thrilling and painful at the same time. Jobs disappear. Entire sectors fade. Then something new emerges. His insight matters because it explains why growth is never smooth. Progress often arrives with winners, losers, and a lot of turbulence in between. Number 5 is Alfred Marshall, the man who gave economics its most familiar language. If you have ever seen supply and demand on a graph, you are using Marshall's world. He helped turn economics into a more precise science by showing how prices respond to incentives, competition, and consumer behavior. He also introduced ideas like elasticity and consumer surplus, which let economists measure how much people gain or lose from market changes. Marshall's genius was not drama. It was clarity. He gave economics tools that are still used in classrooms, policy debates, and business decisions everywhere. Number 4 is Karl Marx, one of the most controversial economists in history. Marx looked at capitalism and asked who really benefits from the wealth workers create. His answer was forceful. Profits come from surplus value, the gap between what labor produces and what labor is paid. That idea turned economics into a study of power, conflict, and class struggle. Whether you agree with Marx or not, his influence is undeniable. He forced economists to confront inequality inside the market system itself. His work still echoes in debates about wages, ownership, exploitation, and the future of capitalism. Number 3 is Thomas Malthus, the economist who warned that human numbers could outrun human resources. In 1798, he argued that population tends to grow faster than food supply, creating pressure on wages and living standards. For generations, that idea shaped how people thought about poverty and scarcity. It was controversial, and parts of it were later challenged, but it was also profoundly influential. Malthus made economists think about limits, balance, and unintended consequences. His warning reached far beyond economics too, even helping inspire later thinking in biology about natural selection. Sometimes a bad forecast still changes the world. Number 2 is David Ricardo, the master of trade and distribution. Ricardo's most famous idea, comparative advantage, explains why countries can both gain from trade, even when one of them is better at producing everything. If each side specializes in what it does relatively best, total output rises. That principle became one of the foundations of international economics. But Ricardo also cared deeply about how income is divided. He studied the tug-of-war between workers, landlords, and capital owners, showing that growth is never just about size. It is also about who gets the slice. And number 1 is Adam Smith, the thinker who helped invent modern economics itself. Smith explained how decentralized people, each pursuing their own goals, can still create order, specialization, and prosperity. That is the magic behind the division of labor, the engine of productivity, and the logic behind markets that coordinate without a master planner. He also gave us the famous idea of the invisible hand, a phrase that captures how private motives can produce public benefits under the right institutions. Smith did not just describe markets. He explained how social cooperation could emerge from millions of individual choices. What ties all 10 together is one simple truth: economics grows through argument. Smith showed coordination. Ricardo showed trade. Malthus showed limits. Marx showed conflict. Marshall gave the tools. Schumpeter showed disruption. Keynes showed crisis response. Hayek showed the limits of planning. Friedman showed the power of money. Sen reminded us that development must serve human freedom. Put together, they built the framework behind the prices we pay, the jobs we want, and the policies governments debate. Modern economics is not one mind. It is a long conversation, still unfolding. Drop a comment with your number 1 pick, and subscribe for part 2.